Tonight, I have the honor and privilege of interviewing a legendary scrapper and his family. I aim to have a casual conversation about how Big Country Scrapper came to be and how his business and processes have evolved from its humble beginnings, to get to know the man and his family better, and hopefully to get some great insights as to why many folks turn to scrapping and recycling for income. Big Country Scrapper is a channel with strong roots regarding work ethic. He has consistently proven to have vast knowledge of the metal recycling industry, and he's passing this down to his family. In fact, he's passing it down to anyone who watches his channel. James has a strong desire to not only show you what he's doing in his videos, but to show you how he's doing it, so others would be inspired to learn and grow their scrapping craft. And this brings me to why I requested James and his family to come on to my live stream panel and share their knowledge with you. Please support the Big Country Scrapper's YouTube channel by going over to his channel and subscribing to it. Watch his videos, comment, and like them. He uploads daily, so there's always something new to watch and learn. Plus, hey, his family's pretty cool. The link to Big Country Scrapper's channel is below. Oh, and tell him Gill Skills sent you. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, guess who I have here tonight to interview and dig into their inner goodness and all that fun stuff. We've got Big Country Scrapper along with Rooster Scrapper, the fam. How y'all doing?
All right, how are you?
Ducky, borderline hunky-dory. I'm just glad we could all make this happen.
Absolutely.
So it looks like we got a decent amount of people in here so far. We got 13 and it's climbing, which is great. Guys, if you don't mind sharing this out, I would be eternally grateful. I'm sure they would be eternally grateful.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So we'll give it just a minute or two and then we'll go ahead and get started. I'm not going to say hello to everybody individually this time around because it's more about the folks that are on the panel tonight. You guys are going to have your opportunity to ask them questions after I get done asking them some questions, which will probably take about maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes. The whole thing will probably be a little over an hour, as long as they're okay with that, of course.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, I mean, James, we're scrappers, man. It's a lot of fun. So tell me, I mean, in all honesty, how did you get, what inspired you in life to start recycling metals? I guess that's where I'd like to see. Where did it all begin?
Well, I mean, okay, so to start, I mean, I grew up in a pretty low income household. Well, actually, me, my mom, my brothers, we all kind of grew up in a small trailer camper. And so from there, we needed money. And so I started going out with a backpack, cut cords, everything else, saved up money, bought a bike, and then started doing it from there. And then bought my first car and just kind of grew up from there. The inspiration behind it, though, is back then, at 14, I mean, trying to find a good paying job, was just hard to come by at that time, without the education and everything else behind me.
Got to have experience to get that experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I figured the best thing to do at that age was just kind of go under the self-employment and category. And, so I started doing that, and I started, cutting lawns, shoveling driveways, all that stuff. And, I realized that the scrap metal actually paid pretty decent, and I've noticed the biggest thing is the harder you go at it, the more you'll make, right? So it's more of a self-investment, right? You invest within yourself and it'll show within what you're doing, right?
Absolutely.
And that's kind of how I got started. So
that's pretty cool. Now, I mean, there's quite a few people in here that might not recognize you because you did have a previous channel. You still have it, I believe, but you're putting more focus on this newer channel. Do you want to tell them where that was and give, you know what I mean? Was it Big Red Bullion or something like that? Or?
Yeah. So, well, actually, originally I started out doing this channel
Yeah.
originally.
Oh, so this came first? Oh,
This came first, yeah, and it was I'm gonna say probably 10 years ago I loaded up my first video on this channel, and I did it for about 6 months, and then I got into doing stacking silver and gold and making silver art and stuff like that. So I I didn't want to, put the two together,
yeah.
because my other channel was more focusing on investment and, as far as like stacking and bullion and, just making smarter choices with your money and, the art aspect of what I did too, which, yeah, that channel is Big Red Bullion. I did that channel for about 6, 7 years. And then all of a sudden my scrap business just picked up through the roof. And so what I do is I don't street scrap. I used to do that. I don't do it now. I find it's not doesn't really make up for the overhead. So what I do is I go to different companies. I bring a contract with me, and these companies will sign like a 5-year contract with me. I'll go there. I'll get their stuff from their shop or locations on job sites, and in turn, free of cost. And then in turn, they'll give me all their scrap for free. It's just kind of I scratch your back, you scratch my back kind of deal, right? Uh,
Right.
but I make sure it's in contract because in that way, I got that safety net. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's in. I couldn't agree more. I mean, if you're doing this part time, really, you want to be networking with some of the bigger companies if you can. Where there's going to be regular scrap coming in, you go there regularly, where you can actually sign a contract where you get all their scrap. You know what I mean? So, yeah, everybody's saying hello.
Mm-hmm.
So I got one last question, and then I got a few questions for Rooster
Yeah.
and Mason and Sophia there. With this channel that you have now, can you, because everybody's a little different, man, in terms of scrapping, how they scrap and all that fun stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about exactly what you're scrapping, what your primary focus is with your
Yeah.
scrapping?
So
Do you understand what I mean by that question?
yeah, I think so.
I
I think
barely
so.
understand it.
So this channel is more about growing as a family, right? As you know, like I don't
Yeah.
work by myself. I work with my son and Princess Sophia there. We're all one big family. Even my followers on YouTube are part of our family, but we grow together, like the people that have been tuned into my channel, started out in a storage unit and just kind of gradually grew from there. Now I'm in a bigger shop. Um,
Yeah.
but my main focus is, air conditioners, furnaces, stuff like that, electric motors, copper.
Yep.
Big in the copper game. I don't do a lot of e-waste because
Yep.
here where I am, you can't sell it nowhere. And if you
Right.
do, it's for tin shred, so, like the smaller stuff, like RAM, stuff like that, like I'll send to e-waste Mike and, he'll sell that off to board
I
sort.
remember bringing him some stuff for you.
Right, right. But yeah,
Yeah.
my main game is the copper, right? Like it's all about the copper, the brass, the rads, and that's pretty much what we go after. But it's not just scrapping. It's we scrap, but the money we scrap, we also invest. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
so we try to show people, how you can make that extra money, and if you have that extra money, what you could do with that extra money as well. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely. I gotta say, I mean that's one of the reasons that I think you and I get along so well is we think very much alike in that regard. I
right,
created my channel because I wanted to empower people to start doing things themselves and showing them that they could do things themselves instead of paying exorbitant amount of money to have someone else do it for them. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my beginning, and you're kind of in the same boat where you
right,
want to show people how to succeed and how to grow and show them that you don't have to do it alone. Like your family can get involved too, and you guys are
Absolutely.
a very cohesive
And you
team.
know, like I try to teach people different methods, and and it's surprising, but a lot of my viewers teach me methods too, and
Yeah,
that's what it's all about, right? Is
yep, give and take.
knowledge. Knowledge is power. You know what I mean? And the more knowledge you learn, the more powerful you're going to be in any business. You know, so I've always welcomed any comments, negative or positive, it down in my descriptions and stuff because
Yeah,
you take them negative comments and you can use them as fuel into a
yeah.
positive situation, you know.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, it may be, I mean, negative is kind of I mean, it's a loose term in a sense because a negative comment could still be constructive feedback that would turn into a positive change and make your processes and, more efficient, right?
yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So I want to say thank you guys for showing up today and keep sharing this out. I want to say that Big Count a Country Scrapper, the channel link is at the very top. It's pinned at the very top. Please go over there and show some love because these guys are great people. And they literally, like I said in the beginning, they upload daily. It takes a lot of work to not only do what they do, but to film and edit and make sure that they post every day for you guys and have good content. So check them out and show them some love, please. And thank you.
And we're trying to get to 4K by Christmas. That's
Yes.
me and Rooster's Christmas goal,
Yeah.
guys. So,
Well, yeah. I mean, that would be an awesome Christmas present from you guys.
absolutely.
We have how many left?
I think we're short 260.
Did you guys by chance see what your count was before we did this stream tonight?
Yeah, I was at.
Okay.
We were at 3,741.
Okay. I don't expect any monumental changes, but I'm sure it will go up a little bit tonight.
Right now we're at 3,047, 440,
Nice.
74.
Yeah.
3,074.
300,
So we're getting through.
383. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. We're going to keep on both, So, Mason, Sophia.
Mhm.
So I kind of have, it's the new verse, same as the first. It's basically the same question. It's your dad. Your dad's doing the scrapping thing. And then all of a sudden you're involved with the scrapping thing. And Sophia's involved with the scrapping thing. And it became a wonderful thing. So tell me about your story. How did you get involved and how did you get inspired to be a part of it? And this goes for both of you, by the way.
All right. So for me, ever since I was little, I always enjoyed taking stuff apart, putting them back together. It's always been my most favorite thing to do ever. And then when I moved in with my dad, and he was doing scrapping, and I just thought, I've been doing this since I was younger. And then we started working together, and now it's fun. And it's more fun than it is work.
Yeah. So the more time you do it, the more fun you're having, the more vested you are in it. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I would imagine you probably got involved with it before Sophia did. Now, Sophia, how did you get involved in this? Did you think was this intriguing to you? And you're like, what the hell? I'll come in, or heck, I'll come in one day and help y'all out, and then it went from there.
I kind of just ended up going to work with them on one day, and I just kind of liked it, and I've gone to work with them every weekend ever since.
I have to say, your channel it's a family channel for sure. Mission accomplished, James. Seriously. People are now vested in not only what you're doing for the channel, but they're all invested in your story as a person. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if one of you is missing in a video, people are bummed out. It's like, hey, where's Sophia? Where's Mason today? You know what I mean? They couldn't be here because they had, go out of state or something. But you're missed. And I find that's really, really, really cool. The cool thing about, your channel is you're all together. It's like one unit. Without one of you, it just everybody can tell there's something missing if they keep watching your stuff.
Absolutely. And I find like the videos ain't as amusing if we're not all involved, you know.
Yeah.
Like
True.
they're still good and they're still knowledgeable, you know,
But
but
repetitive.
right, but they're more like if I'm on my own, it's more like, you know, okay, he's breaking this down, he's teaching us how to do it, and that is that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if I got the kids with me and we're doing it as a family, there's laughing, there's joking, there's you know,
there's laughter, there's
Enthusiasm.
camaraderie, did I use that word correctly? There's you know, there's a bond there, and you can plainly see it, even if you're kind of arguing back and forth a little bit about how to do something, because that happens too with a family, right?
yeah.
You know, I think it's really, really cool.
It's like that one video I did. The mics aren't for arguing.
So I got another question for y'all. What is the hardest thing that you ever found yourself trying to scrap? The hardest thing that you've ever scrapped, that you ever processed, that you're like, I've got to process this because it's worth it.
I would probably say last year, we got a phone call from one of these HVAC companies that I have a contract with, and they told us they had a massive size industrial unit off a factory, and we had to be there at a certain time so the crane could lower it on my truck. Okay.
Oh, man.
So we show up there at like 6 a.m, right? And I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, I got a big truck, like it's an F-350, 8-foot box, the whole works. And I'm thinking, okay, this thing's gonna fit right in my box nicely, but I have no way of scrapping it out because there's no way to get to the bolts. Right?
Oh,
That's what I'm thinking. I get there, this thing is 3 times the size of my truck. And I'm like, and how the heck are you gonna drop that on my truck? You're kidding me, right? But they did. They dropped it across long ways out of my box. So I had about 3 regular AC units sticking out on each side of my truck as I'm driving down the highway. You know, we get to the
you got
shop.
home safe, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I feel comfortable laughing at this point because it's.
But we get to the shop, and like, you know, we had other pickups to do and everything, but I'm like, nah, man, like we'll put those off. I want to strip this thing out, man. And so we stripped this out, and I'm telling you, that the radiator alone in that thing was a $300 radiator.
Wow.
That's how heavy it was. Like, it was insane. It took 2 of us, me and him, to lift the compressor out of there because the thing was humongous, you know. But yeah, that to me was like a gold mine, you know.
And you had to have it. It was like you had to have it. You wouldn't leave without it.
Yeah, no.
What? You gonna put that on my roof? Go ahead.
I wasn't leaving nothing behind.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when I went to visit you guys last June, you were in those storage spaces.
Yeah.
And you had a pretty nice setup there. Now, you know, in your newer videos, you've got this brand new place that's like 10 times the size we
got a whole bar now.
Yeah, I mean, you've got so much space. I mean, I know you're a good networker, James. Are you prepping for the future with that? Like, are you starting to ramp up your networking to get more material in?
Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? So I got the bigger shop because we were literally filling 2 storage units in 3 days, you know, to the point where I couldn't shove anything else in there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we got to get a bigger shop. Like, we're paying $800 for 2 storage units.
Yep.
And we could fork out another $200 and get something 10 times bigger, right?
Yep.
And this way we have room for, you know, 3-4 years down the road to get bigger. You know what I mean? And that was the whole thing, right? Is growing the business to get even bigger than what we are, right? But here's the thing. We got the new shop. And as quickly as we got the new shop, we ended up picking up 20 other contracts. And now my shop gets full within 1 week. And then come the weekend, we got to power through everything again just to throw it all in the bin
Yep.
and then do it all again the next
Do
week.
it again.
Wow.
And now I tell you now, like I just said it to him last week. I said, dude, we need a bigger shop.
Already?
Yeah.
Like I got probably, I'm gonna say 7 barrels of motors already, and we just started this shop like literally 3 months ago. You know, I mean, I got probably 8 barrels of just miscellaneous stuff like wires, switches, you know, all that stuff. I mean, like, yeah. And
There's
then we
just
got
the
the,
3 of you, right?
yeah, just
Yeah.
3 of us. Yeah.
Yep.
And then we got the whole back of the shop with ACs that are like 2-3 high, you know. So,
I got to get up there and give you a hand again. Okay. I'll spend a couple of days and straighten you out.
I mean, I am talking to the landlord there because so where my shop is attached to my shop, there's
Yeah.
another shop, right? Because it's a
Oh.
full size bar, right?
Yeah.
And there's that plywood wall in between. So I
Yeah.
am talking to him about taking over that other half as well, for an extra $500. And
Oh, heck yeah.
that way we end up with 6,000 square feet instead of 3,000.
I mean, that sounds like a deal.
Right now, technically, we have about 4,000 square feet because the one next to us is smaller.
Right.
But
right.
but the main reason why we want it is because all pavement on that side.
On the other side, yeah.
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 Yeah. And I mean, we do have like all the outside space too. Like if we really needed to, I could stack furnaces outside and, you know, ACs outside. Like this is no big deal. But I'm trying to keep everything inside.
That
as
could
much
be a
as,
slippery slope, man.
right. Because I know once I start piling things
Yep.
outside, I'm going to be like, well, it's outside. It's okay for now. You know, let's just
Right. Until it is. Exactly.
you know.
All right. So, Mason, do you have your own channel? I mean, you have Rooster
Yes, I do.
Scrapping. Do you have your own YouTube channel?
Yes, I do. I have my own rooster scrapping channel.
Can you do me a favor? And I'm
Sure.
going to modify the description on this live stream too. And I'll put. I didn't know that you had your own separate channel. Can you put it? I'm going to monetize you. Not monetize.
He doesn't know how to get links.
Oh,
Well, I can just go, here. I can have
find it.
here. I have Sophia's phone. I can go onto her, and then search up my channel. Copy the link to my channel. Put it in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could do that, that would be fantastic. Because like I said, one of the main reasons is to get you guys some exposure. Because I really want my goal to do this series of interviews. My goal, like I was telling you, is to give some exposure to channels that I feel that are underrated. Like they're giving it a fair shake. They're doing everything they're supposed to do, you know, both with the work and everything with YouTube. They're putting in the right tags. They're doing this and that. And you're gaining, but you know, I want to help you get an extra boost. You know what I mean? And there's going to be a lot of supporters like that along the way. But yeah, I want to make sure that you get some subscribers too, because I'm sure they'd be interested to see what you do as well.
No, I mean, we appreciate any help, you know, I mean,
absolutely.
You know, like we push as hard as we can, and you know, like we push other channels too, you know, like you know, today I helped promote this live stream as well, you know, and I mean I've promoted other scrappers too, you know, like Scrap My Grandpa and Canadian Treasure Hunter, and so going back to my pouring and my silver and stuff, like I used to make channel rounds for Phil, you know, which is Canadian Treasure Hunter. You know, I made a few channel rounds for him that he's done giveaways on and all that stuff too, right? You know,
I would love to seriously visit and meet more YouTube creators
once
I come up next June.
She put my channel.
What is her name?
She's got to type in chat.
Okay, yeah, because if she's not a mod, she won't be able to put in the chat. Is that Willie?
Sophia? Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me add her as a moderator.
Yeah. Once she's a mod, then she can.
Okay, go ahead and try again, Sophia.
No.
because it
But
won't post the link if you're not a mod. You're a mod now.
There
I
you
do
go.
gotta say this.
There you go.
E-Waste Mike, yeah, you definitely gotta try and learn how to do motors, bro.
I'm looking into doing that too. U.S.
I
To
think-
be honest with you, there is money there.
Yeah, I think the most difficult thing that I've scrapped out is last year we got this really rusty, like flat ground AC, and it was like really rusty, like it was brown rusted.
Oh
And
wow!
and every time we tried to undo a screw, it would snap inside of the thing, and we had to cut it with a grinder all the way around. And we had for every screw we had to use a grinder. It was a pain.
Yeah.
And any AC unit's ripe with copper, so you got to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
will-
like you can set this aside and say, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I will say this. I am trying to find a better, more efficient way to do compressors. I just find with the grinder on them big compressors, I'm going through 1 to 2 grinding wheels every time. And that's just not cost efficient for me. And the time it takes to get into them too, 15 to 20 minutes per one. So I'm looking at buying a plasma cutter.
It's
Yeah.
worth it if you can dial it in. I mean, if the electricity being used doesn't exceed, obviously, the revenue you would make from the copper and the steel, yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Because
But
I mean,
get
I
it.
figure I can double my motor intake, which means I can double, if not triple, my copper intake.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, once those, I feel like once those compressors are opened up, it's easy from there. There's so many different ways that you can cut those transformers in half. People use like the pneumatic hammers to cut them in half. I've seen that happen. I've seen people use like hydraulic jacks. There's so many different ways to not have to use. Thank you, Matt, for subscribing to Rooster's channel.
I just went and looked at an actual hydraulic log splitter for my motors, and I mean,
I thought about doing that. I
it's
have
a
one.
it's a big boy too, man. And I mean, like this thing could split a whole tree in half, and I think it'll work great for these motors.
Mine is a 27 ton, and I thought about getting a separate blade for it, just for metal transformers, and trying it out, see if it will work. I mean, worst case scenario, it won't work, right? Then I break it. But anyway, so I guess we're done with the question part of it. We get an idea of who you are and what you do and your inspirations. And I guess the question now is, does anybody in the chat have any scrap related or any questions for them? So I'll open it up, and as I see the questions, I will highlight them on the screen.
Yeah.
So they can answer.
One thing I've noticed that is different about the U.S. and the Canadian side of scrapping is I've noticed on the Canadian side, we go after more copper than anything. And on the U.S. side, they go after more e-waste than copper, because
Yeah.
the e-waste, you guys have places you can sell it and sell it for good money,
Right.
And
Here we don't really.
It mind blows me, dude, how much you guys make off that stuff, and it's like, man. And you would think, being that there's good money in that, you would think they would put a place here, that buys it, but I mean, Canada's all about that industrial metal,
Yeah.
Guys, feel free to ask any questions that you'd like. I mean, that's what they're here for. They want to share their knowledge and their experiences. And you never know. You might have a question in the back of your mind. You might think that it's not really super important, but you may
Ask
ask
it
it.
anyways.
They may have an answer that may change your whole situation for the better. So I don't think there's any question that's too small here.
There's no dumb questions, just dumb.
Yeah,
people.
that's the best way. I should have said it that way. There's no dumb question.
There are no dumb questions except for the one you don't ask.
I like this guy. All right.
There's a reason I keep them fed.
And we are trying to save it for a plasma cutter. We just don't have the money for it right now.
Yeah.
CU Scrappin said that's weird because the largest e-waste shredder in the world is in Canada.
Yeah, but they don't. They only buy it for tin shred. Like It doesn't
How many
matter.
motors?
That's not good.
Doesn't
How
matter
many
if
motors?
server boards or anything.
They're making
How many motors can we get through in a day? How many motors can he get through in a day, or me? Because that's a whole different story.
Electronic scrapper? Well, let's just say you as a team. Like, say you had a whole bunch of motors. How many could you all together get through in a day?
Well, Dad can probably do about 20 to 30, and Sophia, she's afraid to use the air chisel, so. And then
That's
I probably
Sometimes I'm
do.
afraid to use it too.
And then me, I can.
I would say consistently, like if we ran an assembly line where I was cutting crowns and he was doing the air chisel or vice versa, we could probably get through 100 to 150 electric motors a day.
Yeah.
So, of course, this is E-Waste Mike. Why does it take E-Waste Mike 40 minutes to strip a motor? And then E-Waste Mike saying that Rooster runs the show, not Red. Don't let Red try to fool y'all.
So, okay, here's a question that I get sometimes from people.
Here, I'm just going to put this up there after you. Go ahead and say what you want to say. I'll just put this
that's
up
the
here.
one. That's the one I was actually going to answer.
Oh, fair enough.
So, yeah.
No.
Is it safe to scrap a microwave? So this is what I'm going to say. 100% safe. Okay. Because I'll tell you nowadays, there is none of that beryllium in them things.
Yeah.
So you ain't got to worry about that. And if you are worried about that, just put some electrical tape around it. But as long as you like if it's freshly unplugged, let it sit for 24 hours before you scrap it up.
You got to worry about that capacitor. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But after 24 hours, you're pretty much good to go. You're golden.
And there's a decent amount of nuggets in microwaves too. I mean, if you can get away with getting that huge transformer, copper,
Oh yeah,
not so much nowadays, but copper, there's a decent amount of copper in there. And there's motors in there that turn the table inside. There's another motor that there's another decent size. Anyway, there's a good amount of nuggets. Let's see. There was another one here. Oh, here it is. Scrap Together asks, do you still pull apart aluminum motors?
Absolutely not. So I lose money if I scrap out aluminum motors. Because we don't separate our tin shred from our short steel because our tin shred pays just as much, so we just throw it all in the same thing. So that's why we don't scrap out our aluminum ones. And if we don't scrap them out, we can actually sell them at 38 cents a pound. Where if we scrap them out, that aluminum wire is 67 cents a pound, and it takes a lot of that aluminum wire to even equal a pound.
Yeah. And guys, just in case you're not aware, these folks are in Ontario, Canada. You probably got that by now, but it helps to remind people because we talk to people, we talk to people all over the world that scraps. I've talked to people in the UK and Ireland and in Australia and Canada, and I've yet to talk to somebody in Mexico, but hey, give it time, right? So,
or Germany.
Germany. Yeah.
Actually, you have because Dad's from Germany.
Oh, you are? You're from Germany?
Yeah, I was born there. Yeah.
No kidding. That's sweet.
Just about 30 minutes outside of Berlin.
So you mentioned something earlier that intrigued me about your short steel. Now, is your short steel our equivalent of number one steel, like prepared?
Yeah, HMS. Yeah.
Okay. So they don't pay you any more for that over there?
No.
Wow. Okay.
No, I mean, like the odd time they'll be like 2 cents higher, but really, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Here in Maine, and I'm sure this varies from state to state, of course. Right now, I can get 110 a pound for tin shred, or 110 a ton. Sorry, and it's 160 a ton for prepared. And feel free to post what you guys get in your state too. I think that would be interesting to know.
Tin shred here per ton, we get about $360 a ton. And in short steel or HMS or number one steel, we're getting, I think, 365. So I mean, it's not really worth separate. Now, autocast, which is like your rotor stuff like that, we're getting about 397 a ton.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. Does anybody else have any questions? Anybody? I mean, we've been streaming barely a half an hour. I'm surprised you guys don't have any more questions.
Mike
found a question.
Mike
Is
said,
it to scrap a washing machine?
Yes, it is.
Matt, there it is.
hold on, let me answer Mike's thing here. Your Gaylord boxes, bro. You could fit literally 4 55-gallon drums of copper in one box.
That was my answer.
Yeah.
He asked that question before, and I answered the same thing. It's like 4,
Yeah.
maybe
As
5.
far as weight goes, so in every 55-gallon drum, now if you cut up your pipe or your wire and stuff like that, you can comfortably shove probably 300 to 500 pounds in each drum, give or take.
I mean,
if it's pipe,
we can fit. We can fit 4. Plus, if it's wire, we probably fit a couple.
No, 5.
Like,
Five.
oh, 5?
5. Yeah, 5 or 550. Yeah.
I think
So
we could put. I think we put 6 in it because we got a giant sledgehammer that we pound it down with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Rooster still putting out his videos? Yes, I am. We're just more focused on the main channel as it stands right now. I make videos when I can.
Are you guys getting questions from like Facebook or something like that?
No,
we're getting it from the screen.
From our chat.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing them.
Is it worth scrapping out a washing machine?
Yeah, I do have that up here from D-Mac.
Scrubbing a washing machine. So I mean, it's tricky, right? It depends what your yard's going to pay you, right? If they don't pay you anything for aluminum motors and stuff like that, it's not worth scrapping out. But I mean, if you're going to get, $4 for that aluminum motor and you're going to pull out that wire harness, which is £1, and you're getting paid $2 a pound on that wire, and you're pulling out the solenoids to pull the copper out of them, because I've never found a solenoid that was aluminum. I'll tell you that now.
Neither have I. And those solenoids are chock full.
Oh yeah. So I mean, if you're doing all of that and your yard is paying decent for them separate things, absolutely it's worth it. It doesn't matter if you're making a profit of $1 or a profit of $10. As long as you're making a profit and you got the time to do it, do it.
Well, Mike's gonna make a go of it. He's gonna try to fill the Gaylord full of copper.
I'd do it, man. You could probably get a good, probably a good ton, if not more, in that box.
Oh yeah, I was thinking right around 2,500 pounds, give or take.
So and Mike, I'll say this: E08 Mike actually inspired me on this. So I'm actually talking to my scrapyard right now about getting some Gaylord boxes in too. Instead of having all them barrels in the back, I'm gonna have boxes in the back, and then when I fill them, the scrapyard is actually going to come to me and pick up the boxes and put them on a flatbed and take them to the yard. So I ain't gotta even go to the scrapyard anymore.
Wow, that's cool. If you get so much material that the scrapyard is interested enough just to leave it, something there and just pick it up on the regular. Heck yeah.
Well, I get a big 50-yard bin from them right now for my tin. It's out at the shop. And so they'll come out when I call them, say it's full. They'll come out, they'll get it, and then at the end of the month or whatever, if I bring in 4 bins or 5 bins or whatever, at the end of the month they'll just write me a check. So
that's sweet. Now the only thing I'd have to say on that, Mike, is I know you get a fair bit of material, but I'm curious why you went the Gaylord route, especially with copper. Do you have something big coming up that's going to fill that Gaylord pretty quick?
Or maybe he just doesn't want to do his electrical motors and he wants to throw them in the box so that way he doesn't have to look at it.
That's a possibility. That's a possibility with Mike.
Yep.
I mean, that's my question, because when I think of a Gaylord, when you're going to fill up a Gaylord, basically a pallet full of copper, right? It's going to take some time to fill if you're not getting enough material at any given time. So there's like an investment period of time, or it'd be there longer until it's full if you don't get enough product.
Well, see, I've said this to Mike, right? Like he says, well, copper prices are down, so I don't want to do it. No, here's the thing. When copper prices are down, that's when you want to do them. Because here's the thing. When them copper prices go up through the roof, that's when you don't want to be stripping out motors. That's when you want to be cashing in all that copper that you stripped out over that time.
Yep.
And then when our copper price is down as well, you're scrapping them motors, you're buying your other motors from the scrap yards at a cheap price and still adding to that box. Sell your e-waste as you do, and your e-waste will cover your bills, everything else, and still give you money to buy motors. Invest into the copper game, and I'll tell you, you'll come out like a bandit.
Let's see. Big Country, make sure you have an empty weight on them Gaylords, or some yards will dock you. Yeah, it's good idea to have the pre-weights.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But, I mean, my yard's really good though. Like, I have a good relationship with my yard. I've been dealing with them for over 20 years now. Originally for the 50-yard bin, they charged people about $300 for the bin, and that's drive, deliver, and pick up. For me, they only charged me $100 flat, right? So I win there. And they'll give me like steel cages to put into my shop free of cost, for like storing my compressors or anything like that. 55-gallon drums, if I see them there, plastic ones or metal ones, they'll just let me throw them on my truck and take them. I don't have to pay for them.
Because those are gold for for a scrapper. I mean, I'm learning that myself. I got 3 from when I was in Illinois, and I'm really glad I got them. It helped me organize my garage in ways I never thought I could.
And like my big truck, my F-350, the box rotted out in the bottom, not rotted out in the bottom, but like a piece of metal went up through the box and put a big hole in it. And I went to my scrapyard to find a big, thick 1/4-inch plate of steel to put across the bottom of my box. And the guy there was telling me, oh man, those are expensive to get, blah, blah, blah. And the owner of the scrapyard, he's like, you know what? He's like, just find the piece of steel you want. We'll throw it in there. We'll just say it came with the truck. Like that's what I mean, right? Like I have a good relationship with these people. I don't get paid, as average Joe comes in with a pickup truck prices. You know what I mean? They add on. So like, say if copper is $5 a pound, I'll get $5.30 a pound. You know what I mean? Or if rads are, $1.50 a pound, I'll get $1.70 a pound. You know what I mean? So they work with me because of the amount I bring in, right? And that's with anybody though. If you bring in a large amount, you got a better position to negotiate your prices, right? Like if you're only bringing in 10 pounds or 50 pounds at a time, you got no room to negotiate. You know what I mean? Because they can get that from anybody. But
I don't remember who said it. I don't remember who said this, and I'm sorry I stepped on you there.
No.
But the best way to describe this is no scrapyard really wants to hear, with a huge load, put it back on the truck, we're going to sell it to somebody else. So they're going to, like you said, they're going to be more apt to negotiate.
Yeah, I've done it too. Like I tried out this other yard just for the heck of it. They just opened up in the small town that I live. And I had about, I think it was 6.5 tons of brass. And I brought it in, and they were only going to give me $1 a pound after they unloaded it. And I was like, yeah, you better load all that back up. They're like, excuse me? I says, yeah. I says, because I'm not selling it to you at no $1 a pound when I can literally drive another 30 minutes and get $3.50 a pound.
Yeah.
So I made them load it all right back up again, and I brought it to the other yard.
So they wouldn't even work with you. They just loaded it back up again.
Well, yeah, the employee loaded it back up and I left. And then next thing you know, the boss of that yard's calling me up saying, "Where'd you go?" And I says, "Well, your guy told me he was only going to give me $1 a pound." I told him to load it back up. I'm on my way to London. He's like, "No, no, no." He's like, "Come back here." I said, "No, too late,
You
buddy."
missed
I said,
out, buddy.
Yeah, I said, if you can't teach your employees properly,
Yep.
you just lost a whole lot of business, dude.
Yep.
Uh,
I want to thank everybody for being here and spending any amount of time that you possibly can. Time is precious nowadays, so I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you get to know James and Mason and Sophia. These guys are really awesome folks. This is a great family. This is a great business. They really work hard, and I hope that you guys check out their channel, which is also linked. It's pinned at the very top of the chat. I did want to answer a question real quick. I think it was Bortle Fart asked me if I had restrictions on. I do not. But if you see any suspicious activity in the chat, I literally have an army of moderators, including those that are on the panel. So if you see anything suspicious that shouldn't be there, attack them like a junkyard dog trying to get scrap.
Okay.
we play harder than we work, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, and you
Yeah.
should, because
Yeah.
otherwise, what's the point, right?
But back to the old question, pre-weighting your barrels is important in a way because then it helps the scrapyard. So that way they don't have to put it in again afterwards after they dump your barrels. Like with all our barrels, we have the number of the weight right on the barrel, so that way our scrapyard knows.
Yeah.
If you take the extra time to show a scrapyard that you're not trying to pull one over on them, you've got their best interest at heart, just as you do your own. It goes a long way to build a business relationship between the two of you.
Exactly, and that's the point.
Well,
Yep.
'cause, I mean, at the end of the day, you're selling them a product. They're the buyer, right? And I mean, that's going back to, like pouring metals too, right? Like a lot of yards won't buy copper bars that are hand poured, because there has been cases where people have put nuts and bolts inside of them
With risk.
to try to get that extra weight, and when scrap yards start getting ripped off, well, then they stop buying. You know what I mean? It makes a bad name for everybody.
It's rough too because it takes a lot of work to melt copper and purify it and pour it into ingots and do all that. So I mean, I would imagine when somebody does that, they have to know. There's got to be some sort of disclaimer in their head. It's like, okay, there's a chance that some scrapyard may not take this if I decide to go that route. If I can't sell this on eBay for 5 times the cost of scrap, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
like I know I can sell copper bars on eBay or Facebook Marketplace and get 5 times the amount, but it's just sitting on all that, for so long. Like I mean, I sit on a lot of it as it is, but like I will pour some and sell some on Facebook or eBay and stuff. But what doesn't sell, like I only melt per order, right? So if someone orders 5 bars, I'll melt for 5 bars. I won't melt in advance because if I can't sell it, I don't want to be stuck with it.
Right.
And
I apologize for those of you in the chat that are mentioning that I'm not responding to you. I did say earlier on in the live stream, and I probably should continue to say it because people are constantly coming in, that this stream is about those that are on the panel. I'm interviewing those on the panel, so I'm not going to be able to say hi to folks individually. Just know that I'm very grateful that you're here. I am keeping an eye on chat for questions for Big Country Scrapper and Rooster Scrapping.
Questions too.
Rooster Scrapping, yeah.
How many people do we have in the chat right now?
19.
Right now we have 18 chat in the chat. We had as many as 23 at one point.
so yeah, I got a response to that comment. Cash is king. See, so you're kind of wrong there because cash is backed by debt. So in my eyes, gold is king. And that's what I invest my copper in is gold. Because at the end of the day, gold has been around longer than anything else and will always have a value.
I agree wholeheartedly, but I think DMAC is basically referring to the scrapping end of it, as in cash is king. If you're not going to pay me what you should pay me, I'll go somewhere else. I think that was the intent of what was said.
Right.
But I also agree 100% with what you're saying. Gold is king, because gold,
trumps
as far as
everything.
I'm concerned, the U.S. should have never gone off the gold standard. But that's another story for another
Rooster is king.
And to answer and to answer Shane's question, I am not in college yet. I'm still finishing high school. And yes, I am king.
No. I think I'm the leader here.
So what are you going to college for?
I'm gonna go to North American Trade School, I'm thinking, and I'm gonna go get my gas license, my electrician's license, and my plumber's license.
Sweet. Trades that I don't think will ever go away. So
that's what I mean, because we were trying to think of something that will always have a purpose, because in the winter you're going to have your furnaces replaced because there's no heat. In the summer you're going to have your ACs replaced because there's no cold. So in either season, like in any season, you're always going to have some work.
Yeah.
And when you don't have when you don't have jobs to do, there's always maintenances. So you go do checkups on the furnaces and ACs, see how they're doing, see if they're running good still, if that something needs to be replaced.
And the best part about him getting into all these three fields is his dad will get all the scrap behind it.
There you go.
I knew there was a motivation behind the motivation. No, I'm kidding. No, seriously. I mean, you're doing the right thing in today's society. You are backing yourself up with those trades. Knowledge is power. Well, if cash is king or gold is king, knowledge is power. And the more knowledge you have, the better you're going to be in life. And I tell my son the same thing. And I wanted to have him learn a trade, and I wanted him to get a CDL license, because there's always going to be a need for drivers. You know, I don't ever want my kid to ever be in a position where he doesn't have a job. So you're doing all the right things, buddy.
That's I'm trying.
Okay. How many times do you have a company tell you, I've got this or that for you, and it doesn't pan out? That's a good question.
Maybe once or twice a month. Like once we went all the way out to Blue Water, and then we showed up at the site, and the guy said, "Never mind, the customer wants to keep it."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, that would like but here's the thing, right? In the business that we're in, you got to take the bad with the good. You got to take the bad to get the good. You know what I mean? Because if you don't take the bad, you're not gonna get the good. So, when they call or text and they say, okay, here's the address, come on, blah blah blah. And yes, on them days where you drive an hour, it sucks, especially when they turn around and say, oh, the customer wants to keep it, as you're just pulling in the driveway, But that's when I turn around and say, okay, no problem. But
we'll get the next one.
My gas cost me $40, so I'll send you the bill. Right?
Yep. And there's two different ways. I mean, you can. I think that's the best way to handle it. Be nice, be tactful, send them a bill because it costs money to go out there. But if you're a complete dink about it, then you've lost a potential future customer.
Exactly.
Okay. But I can't see how they would argue with someone that traveled maybe a half an hour to go do a job and then not have that job and not, be obligated to pay them something for the gas and time.
Exactly.
So okay. So what Scrapping on the Fly saying there should be a fuel charge. So here's my thoughts on that. Okay, is if I'm just going to get a furnace, I usually charge them $10 for fuel. Right, like because usually it's close by. But on a lot of jobs, I'm getting all the copper lining that they're pulling out of the houses, right? And that's why I get a lot of copper pipe. So I don't charge them $10 because realistically, I'm making $40 just off that copper lining.
Right.
And then I'm making about 50 to 60 bucks off the AC unit. And then I'm making another $10 off the coil. Then I'm making another $20 off that furnace. So at the
Exactly.
end of the day, I'm making about 100 and 150 bucks per pickup.
Yep.
And they're nice enough to give it to me for free. If I went out of my way to charge them a lousy $10 every time I did that, I wouldn't have what I have today.
Yeah. From a business perspective, it's like at times it's like walking on a tightrope. You know, where where do you pull your punches versus, you know, fight for what you think should be right for
Right.
you. You know what I
And that's
mean?
exactly it, right?
And I mean, there's electricians that I deal with, that do like the parking lot lights and stuff like that, and I gotta buy that scrap from them, right? So, I tell them, okay, this is how I do it is, all the aluminum that comes from it, I get to keep that. That's my gas money, that's my fuel, that's my labor, blah blah blah. Copper transformers, I'll split it 60-40. You get 60%, I get the 40%. Right? And then that's just on transformer price. After I pay them, I break them transformers down. I get that copper and I double up on that as well. Right.
Yep.
And
But
then whatever tin we have.
this way the customer's happy, he's getting paid, and at the same time I'm happy because I'm making 3 times more than he is. So
And
then
that's the 11 herbs and spices of scrapping, folks.
that's right. That's right.
when life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
That's right.
Absolutely.
If you want to put a little alcohol in that lemonade, that's completely up to you.
There you go.
Work hard, you
So
play hard.
I did a video. We did a video. I think it was like last month or something. We were cleaning up my mechanic's shop because he retired and he was cleaning out everything. And we filled up, I think, 4 truckloads of car parts, aluminum rims, Cadillac converters, batteries, the whole 9 yards. And I told my mechanic, he's like, well, how much are you going to give me for this? I told him, I said, listen, I will take 25% of the aluminum rims. I will take, 50% for the batteries, and the Cadillac converters, I'll take 30% on that. But all this steel has to go to paying my guys for labor, So I take the steel for free. And, he was happy with that, And I mean, at the end of the day, we ended up doing that job and making about, I think it was $2,500 for 1 day's of work. Not bad.
Not bad at all, man. Not bad at all.
Yeah.
So, what do you think your next major? I mean, we just talked about a few things regarding your shop, but pending that not happening, or because that's something that could potentially happen, has not happened yet. Do you have any plans to try to make your shop a little bit more efficient, or I'm trying to find the right words here, like streamline? There we go, streamline. Yeah. Do you have any plans to kind of streamline the operation to make it a little easier for you? Because the scrapper life is try to work smarter, not harder, right?
So what we have, or what we're trying to set up right now in the shop, so we're going to have different spaces for different stations, and then everybody working at a station, so we're not all crowded in one spot. So that way we can all do our own thing, get more scrapped out over time, and then we just throw all the tin in the truck, and then once the truck bed gets full, we drive it up to the bin, throw everything in the bin, and we go do it again.
That's smart. Doing it all over again.
We are looking at doing some upgrades too. Like I said, we're looking into the plasma cutter. I'm also looking into getting a bin truck for myself as well. That way I can buy a few roll-off bins and have the roll-off bins parked outside the shop. So we have one for tin, one for rads, one for aluminum, one you know what I mean. So we're plus we do the junk removal business too, so we're to have an extra bin for that as well.
Right.
So we are looking at doing some upgrades regardless if we get the other half of the shop or not. Um, and then on top of that, we're starting to do more industrial projects as well. So, we're getting into the more industrial side of the scrapping business as well. So, doing big businesses and stuff like that too.
And I tread lightly when I ask that question, because I don't ask that question in the sense that scrappers or whatever is doing things inadequately or whatever, because everybody's trying to up their game, right?
Right.
Everybody, no matter where you're at, you know what I mean? You're always trying to find the next best way to do things. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's why I asked that question.
Mike's talking to you, Dad.
Yeah, he's talking some smack.
Yeah.
I only sit on the truck when I can.
Yeah, before I tell him to get up and get back to work.
That's usually when I don't have the camera in my hand. That's when I sit.
And then I tell
All
him to get
right,
up and get back
guys,
to work.
last call for questions. I asked for an hour, and I'm grateful that I got an hour to hang out with these guys. They've been fantastic. You've been fantastic. I'll give you another couple of minutes to maybe ask some questions, and then I think we're going to wrap this up.
So this is the time where everybody just flows the comments with questions. So that way we don't have to end it.
Usually that's how it works.
Yeah.
Here's another thing too, right? Like we're looking at getting a baler as well.
Yeah.
I just purchased it, and I got a guy that's doing some repairs to it right now. So this baler will bale the aluminum can, and will also bale the copper as well. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, and
it's a really intriguing idea.
Yeah, we were looking online and we saw this machine on YouTube, and we've actually got really interested in it. It's like a big old shaker machine that's a water system, and you put the copper wire into it. Copper comes out in little pieces. It's a shredder kind of, and then all the casing comes out the other side. Yeah.
So Electronic Scrapper says, if you can't sell your e-waste, what do you do with it? Okay, so when it comes to like circuit board stuff like that, the circuit boards I depopulate, so I take off the gold corner BGAs, I take off the IC chips, any gold fingers, stuff like that, I take off, and I just put in a bucket, and hopefully one day Electronic Scrapper will process that all for me. And then as far as like ramp stuff like that, like I will, like I just sent a box to e-waste Mike, and so I plan on, I got so much more of that stuff that I plan on sending to him in the mail. I'm just, as you guys can see, my shop is just overloaded, and I haven't quite got that far yet, but yeah.
2 questions.
Dad, no, I'm not Rooster's dad.
Yeah.
James, that guy right there, the guy with the red hat, that's Rooster's dad.
If you can't sell your e-waste, what do you do with it?
I already answered that.
He just literally answered that question.
I'm not listening.
Pay attention,
No,
Darren.
that's fine. That's fine.
You have another one.
Anybody else got a question before we wrap it up?
You said you had 2 questions.
So Rooster's my son. Princess Sophia is Rooster's girlfriend.
Yeah.
But she does live with us full time. Just some other situations kind of happened, and I took her in, and I raised her like my own.
That's incredibly good of you, man. It really is.
And we have our own room, so we're good.
Yes.
That's incredibly good too.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was some point of contention with your previous videos, because I remember, both of them at some point were calling you dad in some videos, and I think that's where people were getting kind of confused.
People thought she was my sister.
Yeah.
No, she lives in Alberta.
Oh, jeez. Let's see. We got any last questions?
Dad, You have a question on will you take me in? I'm
I
not
don't
working though.
Can't take in any more lazy people. I'm already dealing with one as it is.
Mike works for Sonic Food.
Right?
I took him to Sonic. He only ordered a shake. I was there.
And then he made you strip how many pounds of copper to actually buy him a shake?
He didn't, for the record, he didn't make me do anything, but it was 24 pounds, 25 pounds.
Right? You had to buy him the shake and then strip the wire after. You see how that works? I need to learn his methods.
Now
everybody's asking you if they'll take you.
You'll take them in.
Monica, I will take you in. Come on now.
I would take Monica in too. I got a spare bedroom.
I learned.
Need help, whatever, anytime. But listen, guys, I think we're gonna. Yeah, I still owe you a toilet, Mike. I know you haven't let that down since I left there.
That's why when Gills comes down, we're gonna put him in the granny flat.
There you go.
That's okay. Yeah, just give me a place where I can do my business. Somewhere out back in the pasture.
Yeah, there you go.
There's an outhouse out there. Just when you're done using it, make sure you dig another hole.
I gotta say, man, it was a lot of fun hanging out with you guys tonight.
It was.
To get to know you better.
Better
I'm glad that you guys, were able to open up to the chat and answer questions and tell us what you're all about. And
yeah, it was fun.
It was very fun.
I hope that I hope that things like these will help you guys. Gain more momentum. You know what I mean? On this YouTube thing, because it's a really hard thing to gain any momentum on YouTube these days.
Yeah.
But
it's hard trying to get a video for every day too. I'll tell you. Like, I mean, not to get too into it, but I'm fighting some health issues myself too, right? So I mean, there's days where I have bad days, and so trying to get a video every day is just. You know what I mean? It's becoming harder and harder. But now that Rooster's recording videos too, it's it helps out a lot. It really makes a difference.
Absolutely.
What is whose channel's name? Uwais, Mike? He said, "What is their channel name? Whose?"
I think he's just pulling me leg, though.
Yours isn't you. I mean, maybe he's asking for your name, your channel name, Rooster. If you want to post a link again before we leave, that'll be fine. Because your dad's channel, all of your channels that you work together with, it has been pinned, but yours is like way down in the chat.
I do want to say though, I appreciate everybody coming for the live stream. If you're from my channel or from Gil's channel, we greatly appreciate it. And, we appreciate all the support and, that you guys give us. And Gills, we appreciate you inviting us on your channel here and doing this Q&A with us. And yeah, it means a lot, really.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Very fun.
We're gonna go ahead and end it here. Did you guys want to say anything else before we go?
Well, most importantly.
Yeah, I knew this was coming.
Wash your damn hands.
And have a happy day.
That's right.
See y'all.
See ya.
Bye.